I'm Perry Farrell, lead singer, Jane's Addiction.
I'm Eric Avery. I play bass.
And I'm Stephen Perkins. I play drums.
Beautiful.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us today.
It's good to be here.
To be here.
Jane's Addiction will be in Australia soon for the World is a Vampire Festival, which starts in Brisbane on April 15th before going through Bribie Island, Sydney, Melbourne, Ballarat, Adelaide and Newcastle, and finishing up on the Gold Coast on April 30th. So we just touched on this a little bit before, but are you guys packed and ready to go?
Well,
Almost.
yeah.
I'm just starting to pull out the boots. Start with the boots.
And it was great to hear the list of shows said by an Australian, because we've been looking at that list for the last 2 weeks, and now I know where we're playing. So thank you.
You know how to pronounce all the places properly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, we just got back from South America, so I didn't really unpack, but I did wash everything and kind of change some ideas. But yeah,
That's
we're ready.
nice.
Cool. And it's a long run of shows, guys. So how do you prepare mentally and physically for a tour like this?
Well, we know Eric does his homework last. For me, I start to imagine the stage, and I start to imagine the people and the place, and then I start to imagine what I would wear. And like I said, I start with my feet, because you don't want to get up there with bad shoes. It just bum your night out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I play barefoot on the drum set. No gloves, no shoes or socks. But luckily I've got a room with a drum set here at the house. So I've been playing every day and taking care of like the mental side, keeping stimulated creatively. You know, that's real important, because the physical thing, I've always keep it tuned up. My stamina and my endurance is always like number one importance, and always trying to stay that creative juice so I can get up there and just hit the stage running.
I'm not sure if anyone's told you guys yet, but we're in a bit of a heat wave over here at the moment as well. So it's very hot. So make sure you pack some singlets and some stuff like that, because pretty much everywhere is really hot.
Really?
Oh.
I'll tell you that now, and you get over here with no jumpers and it'll be cold, and he'll be hating on me.
They told me it was cold. They told me 60s.
Oh, well, I'm from Cairns in the far north Queensland, so anything under 25 degrees is cold to me, and I've been hot the whole time, so it does get it's pretty bloody hot.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool.
That's good.
So what can Australian fans expect from Jane's Addiction on these runner shows?
They can expect 110% from the band, 100% output of energy. Any amount of energy that we have is left on the floor. And that's how it's been. That's how it was in South America. That's how it was all last fall. So, you know, we will only bring the same level to a place that goes as hard as Australia. So.
Oh.
Yeah. And we know how hard Australia it can go, because we had a manager who was perhaps our favorite manager that we've ever had up until our newest manager, Ian.
That's right.
But prior to Ian, there was a man, and I understand he's a legend in Australia. His name was Ted Gardner. He passed away about 2 years ago, but Ted led us to the promised land. And when we met Ted, we were like a ragtag bunch of just lost young souls. And we ended up to follow this gigantic, gregarious, happy-go-lucky lost soul. We were like following a guy who was also truly didn't know where he was going, but he had a great smile on his face, so we figured, what the hell. And it ended up, by the time we ended up working with Ted. He moved back to Australia before he, in his last years, but we were able to accomplish bringing the band up to Lollapalooza level. And then after that, Ted went on to manage Tool, but he went back home and he passed on. But we're all kind of going to be going down there, and in his memory, I think we're going to be thinking about Ted, keeping Ted in our hearts while we're down there. So
Yeah.
it's going to be an intense, I think it's going to be enriching and fulfilling.
When Ted's first trip to America was with the band Men at Work, and he met the Frank Zappa team because Frank's drummer at the time, Chad Wackerman, and some of Frank's musicians played for Men at Work because Men at Work didn't bring all their musicians with them. So Ted started working with Frank after Men at Work. And when I met Ted, we had some stories in common because I used to play with Frank's kids when I was a 12-year-old. But at the same time, Ted was working with Frank when I was 12, visiting the house. Isn't that strange?
Wow.
But he wasn't managing. He was like tour managing.
Tour managing Frank
Oh.
and tour managing Men at Work. Yeah, just getting it done on the tour. But it's just so small, such a small world. But Ted, for us, we were about to break up Lollapalooza, I think 90. And Ted's like, you gotta come back to my homeland. So we kept it together for another 2 months, and we went to Australia.
Yeah.
And we played. The band was on the fritz. And then on the way home, we actually broke up in Hawaii with it all worked out. We're here now and we're happier for it. But that was our trip with Ted back then. But yeah, it's gonna be great. But like Eric said, the energy, the songs written in 1986 still are relevant lyrically and musically. There's 3 guys up there. Josh Klinghoffer is just an incredible musician with spirit for days. And what the energy is all funneled together because we only get an hour. And that's enough. But we fly for 16 hours. We drive for 14 hours. We get an hour on stage. Can you imagine how hyped up we are when Perry says 3, 4? We are just ready for the levee breaks basically. And then, at that hour, the hour's over and we can, be a band again, still without our instruments, hanging out in the van, backstage, at the hotel. It's been really a rebirth.
In the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Go in the water, though. We can go hang out with those kangaroos like we did.
The Roo. Yeah, and it's like a rebirth on stage, off stage, and the future of. It's been really just a great thing for us to have these good shows to play, great bands to play with, new audiences to play for, and now we can write new music about it all. And of course, whatever all of us, the whole globe has been through in the last 3 years, 4 years, with the whole squeeze of everything. I don't want to take, we don't have to go there, but there's a lot to talk about musically and lyrically. Yeah, exactly.
One thing COVID did that was good for Australia, it started to repair the ozone layer because planes weren't flying and the ozone started to heal up. And the carbon fluorides from the spray cans, I guess they were not allowed anymore. So there's one thing that you can point to that COVID did right, was it did start to heal nature a little bit.
Good point. Very good.
Do you remember that first time you heard about what you were spraying on your armpits was hurting the ozone?
Yeah.
How long ago that was? And it was remarkable. It was like, we are hurting that. This is insane. And then we knew all the other things, and the whole story came out. Now every kid 3 years old on knows. But back then, no one knew. A handful of people knew, and they kept feeding us, and we consumed it because we didn't know. But can you imagine all those little things we could have stopped years ago? But now we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool, guys. And The tour also features a traveling wrestling component as well. So you guys get into the wrestling much?
Well, I was a wrestler in high school and college. That's it. My career ended there. Weren't enough chicks watching wrestling back in
That
those
is true.
days.
Very true. Those outfits just aren't very conducive to perv, are they?
Oh, yeah.
How do
Some
you
guys can get away. Some guys can get away with anything on stage.
Yeah, that's true. But how do you think they're going to go together, like the live music and the wrestling? I think they'll go pretty well.
It could. I don't know. Those wrestlers are not ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not our show. That's Smashing Pumpkins show.
Okay. Yeah.
But it ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
But
Is
you
it
know,
gonna
one of
be
my
an
favorite
artist
music.
matchup? Is it going to be an artist matchup, Chad, there where the bands wrestle each other?
I wouldn't mind that.
You've got the experience, mate. So you already one point up.
But only full contact.
Look out, it's been called. Eric's called it.
You know, one of our favorite musicians from Los Angeles, Mike Watt, when he plays his bass, he calls it wrestling. He wrestles it. He wrestles with the bass.
It'd be perfect. The tour also features Australian bands Amel and the Sniffers, Red Hook and Battlesnake. So do you guys know much about them?
Yeah. Amel and the Sniffers, I saw them when they came here to LA with my son.
They're good,
And
eh?
I really liked that song about the angels the video with the angels. I thought, all right, this girl's, she's gonna hit big, you know. We went down there and she was just as great as I had wished and hoped. The next thing you know, we're on a bill together. So I'm excited because, you know, it can get, when you're on the road, you're performing with a few groups, you become kind of like a summer camp, you know. But if your summer camp is full of people that you don't get along with, or you know, summer camp can be very long and arduous and boring and dull. But I figure with Amel, I'm excited to make her acquaintance. And I know that she's going to get along, and we're going to get along with her group. So I'm excited about touring with them.
And we sort of touched on this a bit before, guys, and we won't go into too much detail because we're running out of time. But you guys have been going since the mid-'80s. So why do you think it's still as popular today as ever? Like, people are coming out to see this show because you guys are on it. Like, what do you put the enduring success of Jane's Addiction down to?
Could it be my glowing skin?
Distinct possibility.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Perry. Wow, that was quick. You got it.
My moist ruby red lips.
Yeah.
No, I would probably say that from the very beginning, we wanted to be great, and we wouldn't accept anything less. We lived and breathed, ate music, and trying to be a great group. You know, when we were coming up, you know, we looked up to people like, you know, we got a chance to open for Iggy, the Ramones, members of Bauhaus, Love and Rockets. But we admired these people, you know, Lou Reed, David Bowie, list goes on and on, you know, Beatles, Stones, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, The Doors. And we were living in LA where you know, a lot of the music industry was. And we just felt, when we all met up, there was this kind of like kinetic energy running through us that we wanted to be in league with them. So it's really just trying that hard and not giving up is made for the longevity of Jane's Addiction.
You know, and there's a sound that we had when we first met. Even if it's a slow ballad that's laid back, it feels urgent. It feels like there's something that needs to be said, and we cannot stop but we have to say it, and that still feels real. We're not posing or faking or having just doing it. It has to be said. It feels urgent.
I thought it was because you had to go to the bathroom.
I really do. I'll be right back.
All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with all of you. The tour, World is a Vampire tour, kicks off in Brisbane on April the 15th. And as we said before, it goes all over Australia. So I'll be at the Brisbane show, guys. So travel safe.
Brisbane?
We'll see you in Brisbane.
All right, we'll
Thank
see
you,
you in
sir.
Brisbane, man.
All right,
Nice
gentlemen,
to
have
meet you,
yourself a
guys.
good day.
Thanks,
Good
Chris.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris.
All right, buddy. Have fun, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
guys.
See you on the
Bye,
next
fellas.
round tomorrow.
See you, bud.